Oh, good evening, everyone. Today is December the 8th, 2021, and the Board of Appeals is now in session. I'd like to welcome everyone to the meeting, and I'm going to do a brief roll call and also recognize one of our guests here this evening. Robert Chiswell.
Here.
Yeah, and we have Gary Young.
Here.
And Emil Wang.
Present.
Great, thank you. Thank you, board members. And I'd also like to recognize Eric Perla, who is our new Assistant City Attorney. And at the end of the meeting, I'll ask Frank Johnson to go ahead and provide a little more background, and perhaps Eric can then also introduce himself as we head into the agenda item from the staff, item number 4. So At this time, I'd like to call the meeting to order. And our first item on the agenda is the approval of the September 8th minutes, 2021. Can I get a motion for the approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes. Sorry, I've lost my train of thought from the last meeting.
Thank you, Gary. And I'll need a second.
Second.
Thanks, Emil. Now, this is the time where we go ahead and have a discussion with the minutes. Are there any changes or additions, comments regarding the minutes as provided? Okay, well, hearing nothing, no further discussion, I'll go ahead and call for the vote on the minutes. And I'll call you by name because we're still doing the virtual 2 years later. Okay, so here we go. Let's see, Robert, how do you vote for the passage of the minutes?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Emil?
Aye.
And myself, Carol, aye. And so the minutes pass on a motion of 4-0. All right, moving forward now, we have the special exception amendments. This is Board of Appeals case 9105. And I need to put my glasses on for this one. Okay, 2021. This is an amendment to the special exception for the Rooftop Telecommunications facility at 415 Russell Avenue in the R90 medium density residential zone. And Caroline, could you go ahead and present the case to the board?
Yes, good evening, everyone. This is a public hearing on amendment to special exception case BOA 9105-2021 for a rooftop telecommunications facility at 415 Russell Avenue, part of the Asbury campus. The hearing was published in accordance with the requirements of the city charter and code on the city's website, and the property was properly posted. At the present time, there are 15 exhibits in the record files. They are referenced in an exhibit list in the files. The individual exhibits may be reviewed during the course of the meeting or on the Planning and Code Administration offices during regular business hours at City Hall or on the city's website. Any objections to the receipt of any exhibit should be noted prior to the closing of the record. Otherwise, they will be deemed received in evidence. If we can put up packet page 5, which is an aerial. So this is 415 Russell Avenue, which is at the southeast corner of Russell Avenue and Odenhall Avenue. And as I said before, it's part of the Asbury campus. The subject property is zoned R90, medium density residential zone, pursuant to section 24-295 of the city zoning ordinance. Telecommunications facilities are permitted as a special exception in the R90 zone, subject to the requirements of section 24-167D2. The telecommunications special exception A477 was originally granted in this location in 1998, and there have been several amendments since then. Due to the proposed new location for the equipment cabinet, staff has determined that this application meets the definition of a major modification, which is why it's coming back to the Board of Appeals rather than being handled as a staff approval. The applicant went before the Planning Commission on December 1st, 2021 for recommendation. Planning Commission recommended approval with 5 conditions as included in exhibit number 14. And I'm going to turn over the presentation now to Steve Kinley of Jacobs, who is here representing Dish Wireless. They have an RF engineer with him as well. I don't know if both of them are on screen yet, but I'll turn it over to them.
Great, thank you, Carolyn. Good evening, members of the Board of Appeals and Chairwoman Rigg. My name is Stephen Kinley, and I'm with Jacobs Telecommunications, and I'm here representing Dish Wireless, seeking the amendment to the special exception. With me, I have RF engineer Faraz Ahmed, who will discuss the propagation maps. Next slide, please. So Dish is in the process of creating a new network. And with that, they have to build cell sites, throughout the area. In this particular situation, we're looking at 415 Russell Avenue. The key to this location is the height of the building. It will cover most of the city of Gaithersburg. As Carolyn said, it's zoned R90, cluster development, medium density residential, therefore requiring us to amend the special exception. We're looking to amend the special exception to install up to 6 antennas, 3 immediately and 3 future, and an equipment cabinet on the roof on a steel platform. All the equipment installations will comply with all federal, state, and local laws and regulations, including the code of the city of Gaithersburg. The proposed equipment will not be visible from ground level as demonstrated in this presentation. I'll show you some pictures later on that we took surrounding the property where the location we're actually going isn't visible. So next slide, please. So the goals for Dish here, when Sprint and T-Mobile merged, the spectrum became available. Dish acquired the spectrum to create another carrier so that there wasn't a monopoly in the wireless industry. So what Dish is looking to do is comparable to what Verizon is offering, AT&T is offering, and T-Mobile and Sprint are offering today. So with this site, it'll provide us with wireless services in a major metropolitan area, being the city of Gaithersburg. It'll be a new provider, as I discussed, expanding overall wireless coverage, the possibility for better service, less drop connections, faster speeds for consumers, and also another option for consumers. Another wireless network will help support, people working from home now, virtual schooling, and other virtual services. Next slide, please. Faraz, if you would describe the propagation maps, please, for the board.
Okay. Hi, my name is Faraz Ahmed. I work as a senior RF engineer for Dish Wireless. I started working with them in July since they are just a startup company on the wireless industry. So they are trying to be a 4th major operator in the US, as Steve mentioned, like AT&T, T-Mobile, and Verizon. So they're trying to build up the network nationwide. So they have a planned target for which is mandated by FCC that they have to cover like 20% of coverage by June 2022, and then by 70% of coverage by June 2023. So these cell sites are part of that plan. They are mainly for the coverage, just to provide coverage once we go live in our network for next year by June. So this site is in the city of Gaithersburg, and as this will cover most like good number of POPs as well as a good number of area per square mile or per square kilometer also. So in this vicinity. So this cell site, we like, for example, every 2 to 5 miles we need a site to have an overlapping coverage, to have a coverage like a good coverage for the whole network to build. So this site we need it since it's if you can see, like if I want to explain this map which is on the screen right now, we use a Planet tool in the wireless industry for RF predictions, for planning, for design. So this plot is from that tool. We run a prediction by putting the parameters and all the information in there by using 112 height and 0, 120 and 240 azimuth, since we have to cover the whole 360 area. So in this is what you see is without the site. And then if you go to the next slide, please. So when we put a site and then we run it, you see a major difference in the plot. So this is approximately 95+% accurate. This is not an exact what we call the coverage will look like, but it is somewhere closer to what it will be when we go live. So this covers a good number of area. It covers like all mixed zone, like the commercial area, the residential area, the mixed area, residential and commercial or densely populated area. So this will cover on the north, like the mall, the Lake Forest Mall. On the west, it will cover the 270, and it will cover all the major roads and highways and even the local roads. And on the south, it will cover like a middle school and elementary school of Gaithersburg. So we need this site to have a good coverage for our subscribers once we go live next year. So this is one of a site which is needed to have a better coverage. So I think that's all I have to say. So I don't know if we want to go to the next slide, and Steve, you want to continue?
Yes, thank you, Faraz. I appreciate it. I just wanted to highlight a couple items of how we're complying with the existing zoning and telecommunications ordinance. And in this instance here, this is a picture of our proposed antennas. The antennas allowed are up to 8 feet. These are 6-foot antennas. If you could please go to the next slide. Then this is our cabinet here. The zoning allows for a 560 square foot cabinet. We're actually at 85 square feet. If you go to the next slide, please. And then these are our drawings here showing you the building. Also too, you're required to go above 30 feet. This building is 99 feet to the rooftop, 116 to the top of the penthouse. We're mounting at 112 feet. So again, if you go to the next slide, please. You can see here, this shows where our proposed antennas are going, as well as our equipment platform and cabinet. Next slide, please. This is greater detail. You can see the antennas to the northwest. Those are the existing Sprint antennas. We'll be mounting 2 antennas there on that penthouse, and then the penthouse to the east will be mounting 2 sectors of 2 antennas each. And again, to start out, our proposal is to install 3 antennas right away, and then the other 3 are proposed for the future. Next slide, please. Again, this shows the mounts for the antennas. Next slide, please. Again, here's what you can see from our installation from an elevation standpoint. The next slide, please. And these were the photo sims and the drawings we took. As you can tell, the distance from the property, as well as the distance from the penthouse on top of the roof, really shelters everything from being seen, including the equipment cabinet and the antennas. Next slide, please. Here's another view from Russell Avenue. And next slide, please. This is from Odenall as well. Again, you don't see anything there. We have agreed, though, as one of the conditions to paint everything to match. So we think that will help. But those are just a few of the ways that we comply with the zoning. Everything is outlined in our application. So Faraz and I are happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve. Excellent presentation, and thank you also, Faraz. I will open it up to the board now if you have any questions. I have a few, but I'd like to hear from the board members first. Okay, so I see, Robert, I see you're on mute. Robert, you're still on mute. We can't hear you. There we go. Well, we'll come back to you, Robert, in a minute. Emil?
Yes, Carol, thank you. I do have a clarifying question. According to the staff recommendations for conditions 3 and 4, that the installation of the telecommunications facility be completed by a certain date certain. I wanted to clarify whether that would apply to the antennas and the related ancillary equipment and cabinets that would be planned to be installed at a later time. So would the conditions 3 and 4 apply to the equipment that would be installed at a future date?
Okay, I can answer that. If there's future equipment that needs to be installed at a later date, they would need to come back for a new permit for that. So that timeline would start for that equipment at that time. We can't require them to install all of their, it would just be for the initial equipment.
Okay, thank you, Caroline.
Uh-huh.
That's all of the questions that I have. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Emil. Okay, I think we'll head over to Robert because I see that you're not on mute, and then we'll come over to you, Gary, after Robert.
Yeah, just real quick, no real questions, just appreciate the well-prepared package that we could go through, and it was presented very well. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. All right, and Gary?
Quick question, when installing this equipment, I guess for lack of a better word, are you gonna have to hire a crane? How are you gonna get this equipment to the roof?
Typically, we do use cranes in order to get the steel platform as well as the cabinet up onto the roof.
And that's fine. I just, and I sort of figured that, but you know, I have my mother-in-law lives in Asbury, and we're over there quite a bit. And I just think it's very important to communicate and also have you guys on the ground communicate if somebody asks. Just say, well, we're just installing some, you know, just be mindful of people curious of why a crane's on their building, and understand that, you know, if you have to have somebody there communicate, not the actual workers, I think that's important in a diplomatic, patient way.
Absolutely. I think we want to be a good tenant to our landlord as well. So we'll do everything in our power to make sure everyone's aware of what we're doing and how we're doing it. Absolutely.
Well, and it's not just the landlord, it's residents. You know, they see a crane out their window. You know, a lot of these people can't leave their unit.
Mhm.
And you know, they get fearful as to what's going on in their building. And so, you know, more so than the landlord, more so the tenants.
Sure.
And then the other thing I want to add is I think competition is great, and I'm glad you guys are expanding your network. I think it's very important. And so great. I think it's great. Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
thanks. Excuse me. Yes, thanks, Gary. And I just have a few questions here. Now, this one's pretty obvious, but, you know, having used various services in the past, Dish Wireless now will no longer involve any kind of satellites, correct? I just wanted to verify that.
Correct. Yes, this is totally separate from the Dish satellite TV service and things like that. This is more similar to Verizon with, you know, you'll have stores and phones and things of that sort. So.
Okay, so, which actually leads to my next question regarding the consumer business opportunities for Dish Wireless, as well as, will there be also options for emergency personnel? So I know that there's like our fire and our rescue. Is that part of this network also?
Roz, I don't know. Do you know any of that detailed information about that?
If I understand correctly, you're talking about the E911 service.
Yes.
Yes, yeah, that's part of all the wireless network. Any operator, they need to fulfill the E911 provisioning. So yeah, so they can emergency services always available as like any subscriber accessing the dish network can dial a E911 call. Because right now they are working under since Dish Wireless bought Boost Mobile, so
Yeah.
they are using a AT&T network as of now, since they are building their own network.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. And then another question I have, which is kind of more the technology based. I got my new iPhone 13 finally, and it's on a 5G network. And so the network that's being built out, is it for the current generation of 5G, or will it even be something even beyond that at this point?
At this point, since we are in a generation where the 5G is already started by Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile, so Dish decided to go into the 5G. We don't have any 4G, 3G, or 2G network. We are building the 5G network, which is a next generation. So using the cloud-based Open RAN. So which is more of a different vendor. We can use multiple vendors for different hardware equipments like radio and data unit and all that. So it's a 5G only.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Very helpful. And so my last question, and I'm just going to take it back to the equipment and the 85 square feet for the actual box itself on the rooftop. And reading the materials, I noticed that it's far less than the actual 10%, I guess, maximum coverage for the equipment itself. Is there any plans? I mean, I don't know what the percentage is, but as we move forward, would there be a possibility that you'd run out of space on this particular site that you're looking at?
No, that shouldn't be an issue here. I mean, again, we're asking for the approvals for up to 6 antennas.
Okay.
With the cabinet we have there should be plenty of space there to add additional radios within that. Even if we did a platform, we may have some extra room there to put another cabinet, but we wouldn't approach anywhere near the 10%.
Okay, all right. Thank you. No further questions. Sure. Thank you very much. So do we have anybody from the public today to ask any questions? I guess I'll turn that over to perhaps Greg or Caroline.
I would actually recommend that we play the video on how someone can provide testimony if they would like.
Okay, please do. Thank you.
Good evening. If you've connected to the meeting tonight via Zoom and you're on a desktop or a laptop and you wish to make a public comment, we can't currently see or hear you. What you need to do, please, is wiggle your mouse around and look towards the bottom center of your screen. You should see a raise hand button. Go ahead and click on that now for us, please. Alternatively, if you've connected in via telephone, you can press *9.
Okay, thank you. All right, I don't see anyone from the public here, so I think we can make a motion to close this. We close the record at this point. Let's see here. All right. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll go ahead and close the record, have a motion, and then we'll have a discussion then on the resolution itself, unless there's any further questions from the board.
I make a motion that we close the record.
I'll need a second.
Second.
Okay. All right, and any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye, and I have to call you by name because we're virtual. Robert?
Aye.
Gary?
Aye.
Emil?
Aye.
And Carol, myself, aye. The motion passes on a vote of 4-0. Okay, so now we're at the part of the meeting where the board just discusses the resolution in front of us. And let's go ahead and printed it out here on the board packet here. And perhaps we could ask Caroline, just for verification, is it page 117, packet page 117, where our resolution starts?
I think it starts on page 108, but
Okay.
do you want to bring it up?
Yeah, could we bring it up?
We can.
Actually, could we bring up the part, it's actually packet page 119, which is the resolution with the final part of the
For the
resolution.
last page.
The last page, yeah,
Okay.
that's what I meant. I'm sorry.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yes, thank you very much, Caroline. Okay, so we have 4 conditions in front of us here. Are there any questions from the board on the conditions as they're presented? I think Emil covered some of these already.
None for me, thank you.
Okay, great, yeah. Okay, is there any further discussion?
None from me.
Okay, yeah, it's hard to see because I can't see. Oh, I can see your face here over on the side. Okay, and Gary, do you have any further comments before we call for the vote?
I do not. I just, again, be mindful of the tenants and understand that, where that's their home and people can get very concerned and scared when they see cranes outside their buildings.
Yeah, very good point. Thank you, Gary. All right, so I'll need a motion to bring the resolution in front of the board. And that's the resolution on packet page 119.
There's, just as a reminder, there's language on the staff report on page 20 of your packet that it would be useful to make a motion.
Do we make a motion or just read the resolution?
Make a motion using the language on page 20.
Okay, which I'm trying to find.
I have it here, I think. Is that the Board of Appeals? Is that the staff recommends?
Yep.
So I make a motion that the Board of Appeals, based on the exhibit submitted, the applicant's testimony and the staff report findings and recommendations, grant amendment to special exception BOA-9105-2021, finding in compliance with 2418 of the city code with 5 conditions as listed.
And we'll need a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor by name, Robert,
Aye.
Emil,
Aye.
Gary,
Aye.
and myself, Carol, aye. And so the motion passes for this resolution on a vote of 4-0. Okay, so we're done with that case. Thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Steve, and thank you, Faraz. It was a pleasure meeting you both, Steve and Faraz, and good luck on future business operations. Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much, everyone.
Thank you. All right, so I'm just going to keep moving along at this point. So we're on agenda number 4, item from 4 from the staff. And I'll turn it over to Caroline if you have any questions, and then I'll turn it over to Frank. So Caroline?
No, just the next meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, January 12th, 2022. Not sure if we'll be meeting. I don't have anything at the current time, but the deadline's not till next week, so you never know. Just want to wish everybody a happy holiday, happy new year. Hopefully we'll see everybody in person, if not in January, maybe February. We'll cross our fingers. And I'll just turn it over to Frank. I know he wanted to introduce Eric as our new assistant city attorney. So welcome, Eric. I'll turn it over to Frank.
Yes. as it turns out, this may not be my last meeting representing the board. Given that we're going to take a look at what's coming in the next couple of months, because if there's one involving staff and I end up would end up he representing the board and I end up representing the staff, there's the potential that could create some confusion and could add some questions. So it may be easier to let me hang in right now. But our plan for the near future is that Eric Perla, who you can see on screen here, our new assistant city attorney, will serve as your representative. And part of the reason for that, it's not that I need additional time necessarily, but when we have, first of all, when we had 2 members of the city attorney staff, that's when we were able to have in-house staff representing the board, because prior to that time, when Lynn was the only one, we had to have outside counsel. With 3, it actually is more sensible to have somebody representing the board, to have the 3rd attorney do that, since I will remain representing the Planning and Zoning Commission, because that way, if it just makes it less and less likely or possible that there would be a conflict. And also, if there is an appeal involving the city, then one of the 2 of us would be able to represent the city in that case. So, but probably at some point next year, Eric will end up serving as your counsel. And now Eric has been with us going on 2 months now, and doing very well. He started out, he has done private practice, particularly in domestic law in Montgomery County, so he's familiar with the court system, and also served for a couple of years in Frederick County with the state's attorney's office. And therefore, while Frederick County is Montgomery County, many of the same processes and standards do apply. So very happy to have him. And Eric, if you'd like to say anything by way of welcome, certainly feel free.
Thank you, Frank, and thank you, everybody on the board. Very grateful for the privilege of assisting the board. I've lived in Gaithersburg now since 2016. Like Frank said, I served as an assistant state's attorney for Frederick County for 3.5 years. Did a little bit of family law, divorce, and custody with Price Benowitz this past year. I went to law school at the University of Baltimore and undergrad at the University of Maryland. So go Terps. I also, a little tidbit, I have, who I love, I have a puppy, German Shepherd. His name is Benji. But again, I thank you all, and I'm very privileged and honored to be helping you and providing any advice that you guys may need.
Well, thank you, Eric, and thank you, Frank. Any questions from the board for Eric at this time? No? Okay. Okay, welcome. All right.
Welcome.
Yeah, welcome, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you.
Look
Yeah,
forward to
Eric,
working with
need
you.
your support, buddy. We appreciate you helping us.
Absolutely.
Well, and I'm still around, but I would say I certainly appreciated working with you and, working with the chair and the various issues that have come up. And, I do always appreciate that, as is true of the other boards I work on as well. But I appreciate that you all do make a major point to make the right decision and to do so very carefully. And that's always appreciated. So I've enjoyed serving you.
Oh, thank you, Frank. We've enjoyed having you too, and especially keeping us on the straight and narrow so we don't get in trouble. So we will expect the same from Eric at this point too. So, but we know you, Frank, that you're, just an email or a text away at
True.
this point.
Very true.
Still in the same building, whatever building we're in these days. So thank you.
That's right.
Thank you very much. Okay, well, great. Well,
Thanks, Frank.
is Thank you. Is there any further business before the board? I know we didn't hear from Greg. He has his headset on, but no. Okay, great.
No, nothing
All
for
right.
me tonight.
Okay, thanks, Greg. Caroline, anything else?
Nope, nothing else.
Okay, all right. All right, well, if hearing nothing else from the board, I'll just say that this meeting is now adjourned and happy holidays.